Where do I even start with episode 9 of Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night? There's so much to talk about here. I think 98% of this episode was fantastic. I loved it. It was a fantastic episode. Yes, a little bit disappointed that it turned into a center drama type of story. I was really hoping that'd be misdirection. It isn't what you think it is, because from the very get-go, you're like, oh yeah, Mello probably did something stupid. She was jealous because, you know, Kano, that's her mom. There's going to be some center drama or something like that. And she's a mean girl. It technically did that. I think it was clever what it did. It didn't do the usual, they just got in an argument over the center. It was literally came down to the idea that Mello is some sort of mean girls / drama tuber that gets caught, and it creates this whole entire, you know, misunderstanding kind of thing. Like, everybody's like, okay, she's the demon, but she's not actually the demon. She's actually the good person in the situation. But no, the 2%, that little bit at the end there, that kind of made me go, do we have to rely on that? It's that's what you really think of me trope. I felt like the end of this episode was just, it felt like they threw a trope in there just to get the story moving. It is this whole idea that, from my perspective, Kano and Mahiru have been together for an entire year. The two are just, they're attached to the hip. Kano has gotten Mahiru through so much situations, so many points where Mahiru just feels so down on herself. Kano has been there. She has dragged her through so much stuff that that's been breaking her. These two are attached to the hip. And yes, so many points where Kano has pretty much told Mahiru, I love you. Like, I really, really love you. And Mahiru has received that. It's not your typical anime where she's like, whoa, what? She's not a clueless protagonist character. She knows Kano loves her. All these things. I love your art, constantly. She's coming on heavy to me. All these things. It's been drawing this for an entire year. And then knowing Kano would be upset about her working with her mother, knowing full well Kano was probably going to be upset about this. There ain't no doubt. Mahiru knew that Kano was going to be upset about this. Even still, when Kano says something stupid in passion and stupid in... It was a stupid comment. Kano's statement was stupid. Let's be perfectly clear about that. I'm not defending Kano. That was a dumb thing to say. But still, Mahiru saying in reply, so that's how you really feel about me. Really? Really? I'm an outsider looking in. I have not lived with them for an entire year. I've only watched 9 episodes of them, and I know the two of them understand each other a lot more than that. So it is, again, I know full well the next episode is going to open up with the writers basically having Mahiru probably talking to Kiwi, and Kiwi's like, you know she didn't mean it that way, and she's going to go, yeah, I knew she didn't mean it that way. It was just, in the moment, that was a really mean thing to say, and it obviously upset Mahiru. This is a girl, Mahiru is a girl that is been for a while now very uncomfortable with her own skills. And now she's getting that recognition, obviously. You know, everybody's seeing her art, they're loving her art, she's getting better, she's improving, everybody's liking it more, she's getting less criticism, assumingly. And then you have now here, a big producer is saying, I like your art, it's great. And yes, technically saying the same exact things that Kano says, which we know where Kano got that from, by the way. I like that aspect. That is actually a really cool thing. Literally, Kano, everything she's ever said to Mahiru is technically something that Yukine probably told her. Now, Mahiru doesn't know that, but she can technically make that connection, and if they outline that as being the reason why she no longer trusts Kano and would believe Kano that's her true feelings, and that would be great, by the way, if they actually posed it that way, where Mahiru, the moment that Kano says that, you know, you're just a jellyfish that can't swim right, oh, that's how you really feel? If in that moment she thought, oh, Yukine said the same exact thing that Kano told me, she's using me. She's just like her mother. She's just using these terms as a business person. But again, in the next episode, what it's going to do is going to open up with Kiwi talking to Mahiru. Mahiru's going to say, yeah, I know she didn't really mean that. But in the moment, it kind of hurt. I'll fix things with her eventually. I know it's going to do that because what's happening is the writers needed to get the story to move forward. We need to separate these two because we need Mahiru to get with the mother, and we need to have some sort of drama break up the two of them before eventually they come back to each other. And so it almost feels kind of insulting as a viewer having expectations for them to actually have this stuff play out in a creative way, to rely on that, and a dramatic scene change, which I've never liked, but it's literally in all writing. Writing loves to have characters get an argument, scene change, so they don't have to worry about figuring out how these characters part from each other, and let's just move on with the story. Again, it just feels, it felt blah to me. And that's just me saying that is like this one fraction of the story, which I've loved the rest of the story. So don't get me wrong. It's just, I can't admit that at this point right here was like, we relied on that. And you didn't have to. You guys have been doing a fantastic job with the series. You don't have to rely on very cheap writing to get the story to progress. Anyways, with that said, with the negative, that little snippet of negative, which in the end is not going to matter, because again, in the next episode, she's going to say, I know she didn't mean that, and it's going to move on. The rest of the episode. Let's get into the rest of the episode. Yes, most of this episode is the flashback of Kano. Getting finally Kano's story, which, man, that opening scene broke my heart. The opening scene broke my heart. Kano standing in her classroom. It's obviously a bring your parent to school day kind of thing. And she's talking about the thing that she's looking forward to in the future. I want to be like mom. I want to be just like her. And they make some comment about, no, it's about your future. Yeah, I want to be like my mom. That's my future. And everybody's laughing. And she looks back to try to find her mother. And her mother's not there. Not big shock there, it seems like. And yes, especially in a situation where the mother is a producer or president of a company itself, she's probably extremely busy. It's going for that whole thing there. She just cannot be there. And so she's not there for her daughter. When her daughter is literally saying, I want to be you, her mother's not there with her. But yes, it kind of opens the door to the rest of this whole story. She becomes an idol. And yes, she's a very good singer, seemingly. And her mother wants her to be the center. And that's where we start the drama. Mello does not like the idea that the daughter of the president that she looks up to so much is taking over my spot because she wants to be there. Mello obviously would want to be there, and thus this is going to start that drama. But I think what's great is that it opens the door to a conversation between her and her mother. And I think this is where we get the insight into what Kano's mother really is. I think this is the most telling moment in this entire thing, is getting that glimpse as to what is important to the mother. Yes, it seems like there is a bit there that she is caring for her daughter, and the idea that her daughter is, obviously upset. I don't have any friends. These girls are really upset about me. She's trying to calm her daughter in the perspective of what she's doing. And again, this is where we get that first glimpse as to everything that Kano says to Mahiru is what Yukine, or her mother, has said to her. I want you to sing for me. Sing for me. That's that. Again, that's the whole thing. Draw your art for me. But it was still nice in the idea that it's kind of saying, well, this is my perspective. I'm shooting for this audience of 50,000. The Tokyo Dome. That's what I'm aiming for. So just focus on me. Help me with this dream. And it seems like that is the driving force of the mother. That the mother is focused on that one thing. And yes, you can argue she's losing her daughter. Now, this is where I'm getting into that realm of, is this misdirection, or is it as simple as this? Eventually, later on, when everything falls apart for Kano, we get one brief more comment from the mother, and that is, oh, so you're another person that's trying to get in the way of me. It kind of, again, this could be in Kano's anxiety in the moment. Everybody's looking at her and blaming her. You're a terrible person. It could be that she perceived that's what her mother said, or it could be simply that her mother said that, and that her mother seems to only care about her dream. She left this company, started her own, because she's focused on this one thing, the audience of 50,000. That's what I'm focused on. And if I have to throw my daughter out, I'm going to do that. That's what it's given a sense of, again, from Kano's perspective. And yes, technically adding on to that conversation with her and her daughter. But again, it never gave me an indication that she doesn't care for her daughter, but there is an inkling here that she could be using her daughter, that her daughter is just a tool. And I think that's what they're setting everything up as. Is it simply, yes, simply that she is using people around her, that she's simply using Mahiru? That's what Kano thinks. Or are we getting the perspective of Kano herself in believing that and ignoring everything else? That's going to be the question mark. Yes, by all accounts, it could go as simple as that. What you see is what you get. The writers aren't trying to do anything clever here. We technically done that with Mello. We gave a little misdirection, but it still went the direction of the evil center, the center drama. But it could do something different here. It could go into the realms that she isn't that way. Now, there is also another inkling with the conversation between Mahiru and the mother of Kano, Yukine. There is a little bit of a hint there when she asked, did you choose me because I'm with Kano? She said her name. Oh, no. It's one of those kind of question marks as to what name that she uses. That is a good indicator there. So that's something that I'm going to kind of commit to my memory. How Yukine addressed her daughter when Mahiru brought it up, which, again, technically makes sense. These are stage names versus their actual names, that kind of stuff. But yeah, so it was interesting to see as we built up to Mahiru basically wanting to talk to Kano, we did get a little bit of a drop of essentially Kim giving us a little misdirection here. That there is this rumor going around that, okay, we got to find out what the mother's like, because obviously Mahiru has to figure out, is she going to talk to Kano and how she's going to address that, because obviously Kano's probably not going to like this. So she wants to look more into the mother to find out what happened. Not going to get any information. Kim has to give this long speech. That's the official Yukine. Now let's get into the unofficial. And this is where we create that little misdirection as to people are saying that this producer, this lady that owns this company, yeah, she runs this YouTube channel. And this YouTube channel is basically drama in the industry. They expose the idols. And yes, apparently in the past, there was this one big gig, and just before that gig, somebody dropped out. The last performer dropped out. Yeah. And who got the spot in replacement? Yeah, Yukine's girls. So obviously it's going to start creating that. Plus, additionally, I think the more damning evidence is once her group, had that whole controversy with Kano, suddenly no updates. So yes, it does give the indication there that at least somebody within that company or somebody involved with this particular idol group was involved with the YouTube channel, because otherwise, why would the post stop? So it does kind of create that misdirection. It's kind of a simple thing. But yes, as we find out eventually later on, when Kano does run into the phone of Mello, oh, it's getting a notification. I didn't quite get what it was showing on the screen at first, but then it kind of later on says it was a comment on that channel. Oh yeah, that indicates that Mello's phone is at least tied to the account that is receiving these messages. So obviously, Mello is one. And yes, turns and punched her. Which, in this moment, yes, fully justified. I don't blame Kano in this moment. Now, I think there is that thing where you do have a responsibility to everybody around you. You shouldn't do something like that because it just reflects. I mean, obviously, as we see, it destroys her group. But I think in the moment, I don't blame her. I think that would be something that would be absolutely infuriating that, yes, she's pretty broke up about this. These girls are having to apologize in front of everybody. Now, granted, let's be honest, they did it. It's not like they're apologizing for something they didn't do. They just got exposed, and that's the part where it was kind of forced upon them. But Mello obviously did it for a reason. She won that gig. She wanted to be successful because she just loves Yukine so much, and she wants her group to be successful. And so it's kind of nasty in that regard. But I also like the fact that at some point they gave an indication with Mello kind of praising Yukine that, again, it was kind of pushing heavily on that misdirection. Oh, they dropped out. Wonder why. Give it to Yukine right there. She's like, it almost again is like Mello saying that Yukine was the one that exposed those girls to get that spot. Like you did your connections and got them out of the picture. Good job. But no, the punch happens, and yes, everybody turns on her. This is one of those frustrating moments where it's like, why wouldn't you say something? Not that there's a good chance that nobody cares. Again, you could just have randos there that seen the whole situation, and she could yell out, but Mello, she runs this group, and everybody could be like, who's that group? I don't care. You just punch this girl. This is going to go viral. Post it. It's not like suddenly Kano revealing Mello being a part of that YouTube channel is suddenly going to make people not want to post it. Again, they want to go viral. Everybody's seeking those clicks. So they just want to expose anybody and destroy people's careers just because they want likes. Good. It's a nice little commentary on the state of social media and how it affects people. I don't care what the repercussions are for those around me. This will go viral. So I'm going to destroy this girl's life. And again, with this moment right here, we get that little sense there that, at least from Kano's perspective, it could be just taken out of context here from her perspective, but it seems to imply here the mother is like, you're going to get in my way of my dream, get out of here. Again, we'll see if Kano is reading that wrong or if that literally is the mother. Which is that's kind of the hint that I'm getting. I think I'm getting the hint so far with the mother that it's not so much that she hates Kano. It's not so much that I think she is definitely can be seen as a bad parent because it seems to imply that she's not connecting with her daughter unless she's an idol. But I think it's going to be one of those things where it's literally that she's a business person and her business requires a lot of her attention. And so she's not giving her children much attention unless they're right there with her being a part of an idol group. And that is a sad reality of a lot of people in business, especially somebody running a business, is that they have little time with their children. But yeah, that's the whole backstory story. Outside of that, yes, Mahiru eventually asks Kano about her mom, says, oh, I should have asked you in person, but I'm going to go see your mom. Again, showing Kano not too happy about the situation, but going with it. And yes, Mahiru goes to meet Yukine, goes to the production company, gets this little insight as to what they're doing. My question mark that I had in the previous episode was really going to be this idea, is Yukine, this mother, doing this because she wants to break Kano, or is she doing this because she legitimately wants Mahiru's work? The feeling that I'm getting from that whole scene was that, yes, Yukine loves her art. It's like mother, like daughter. And I think that's really what kind of cemented it for me, that this isn't about Kano. I don't think the mother is doing this for Kano. Eventually it can come out that that's the case. I do believe that she could have found Mahiru by watching Kano, but I think in the end, she likes Mahiru's work. And again, I think it's a mother like daughter thing. Kano loves Mahiru's work, constantly gushing about it. And again, using her mother's words. And now we have here, the mother is literally gushing about Mahiru's work. I want to put it up there. It inspired me. This is what I've seen. This is what I want. I want you to do this for me. And yes, I will note, what she's proposing that Mahiru has to do for the job is a lot of work. I thought it was just going to be like a mural. She wanted a mural for the background or something like that. No, she legit wants her to do the art for the whole project, the whole dance, all the art for the music video itself. And she wants her to do all the Sundolls characters. Like, they're going to be doing like VTuber characters. She wants her to make their actual characters. That's crazy. That is a lot of work. So when they brought that up, I'm like, oh, yeah, she's probably not going to be able to help Jelly with their entire project for New Year's, because she's going to be working like day and night trying to do that whole project. But again, even though she brings up, why'd you choose me? I'm not very good. Why'd you choose me? Oh, well, I like this. So you didn't choose me because of Kano, right? Oh, Nanako, you mean? No, definitely not. That I chose you because of this artwork. And again, it cements it in the idea that she's like, oh yeah, see this? Yeah, this looks rough. I agree. This arm right here looks rough. Well, again, she's pointing out the same thing as Kano's pointing out, which did kind of make me wonder, is she spying on her daughter? But no, it's cementing that idea that both her mother and Kano, the two of them, mother and daughter, think similar. And so when they see everything of Mahiru's work, they think the same. And so when Mahiru brings up the draft of it, she's like, oh, yeah, great. You're getting better. You're getting better. You have not gotten rid of your style to improve. And I think that was something that I've addressed before, which I thought was kind of cool that was brought up now, is that Kano loves Mahiru's style. Even if it was rough, she loves her style. And there is a fear of people when they're trying to get better that they lose their style. But they're cementing it right here that Mahiru is keeping her style. She's learning the basics while keeping her own style. She's not changing to what if she were to go to an academy for character designs and whatnot, she'll get that you have to do things this way because this is what sells currently. No, she kept to her style. She's just improving the character and the proportions and everything like that and getting rid of the skewed arms and yada, yada, yada. And again, in the end, I think what was so interesting with this whole introduction of Yukine and with Mahiru meeting Yukine, is the massive question mark that comes into it, again, because the only perspective we have is Kano's. And Kano doesn't seem to like her mother and doesn't like the idea that Mahiru is going to her mother. So the question mark as a viewer, for me anyways, coming into this scene is, okay, is Yukine going to turn it into being a massive manipulator? Is she going to be all business? Is she going to be wanting to hurt Kano? Is she wanting to, like, all these possibilities of what she can be? And if she's just a nasty person, is she going to manipulate Mahiru? Is she going to give her, whisper sweet words in her ears and manipulate her that way? And again, the cool thing that comes from the end of it is really that she is Kano. Again, she's Kano. She loves Mahiru's work. She adores her art style. She adores her style. Everything that Kano loves about Mahiru's work, over here, her mother does. Same thing. And so, in the end, what it comes to being is that. Now, with the other additional information in mind, I think the perspective that I got here is that, just like Kano, she loves Mahiru's art, but additionally, she's a businesswoman. And she's going to use people around her to her benefit for her goal of this 50,000. So, business, but additionally, she's Kano, basically, in the end. So, it's cool. But yes, that all leads up to the big reveal to Kano that she wants to do art for her and that she's not going to be able to do anything for the New Year's. I'm of mixed minds here because on one end, yeah, there is a side of me that's like, Mahiru, you promised them that you would do that for their project for New Year's. And so there is a bit of a snuff here in the idea that why would you not fulfill what you promised everybody at the table? But I do see that everybody else, like Kim and Kiwi, it seems like they're okay with this. Like, look, it's fine. We'll do it later. We don't have to meet this goal. There is kind of this struggle there in the idea that Mahiru is doing this for free, basically. Now, they could be getting revenue, and maybe they're not talking about that whole side of things. By all indications, they're just putting this stuff out there, getting the followers and whatnot. So there's not a monetary thing that's established here, but there is an expectations. I don't know if they told everybody that Jelly was going to have something for New Year's. If they did, I think that's really wrong, that Mahiru would essentially have them put that out there to the public. We're going to have this for New Year's, and then not do it. But if they haven't announced it, I don't see a problem with it because it is sort of a side gig. And this is important for Mahiru for her future. This is a big business opportunity. I can get, I can grow from this. This is actually good for me. I think the way that she puts it is really great. Is the idea of I hated myself. You helped me. I was able to change. I want to continue to draw for Jelly, but I've grown and it was fun. But because of that, I want to get better. I want to get much better. And I think there is a semblance here that Mahiru is basically saying, I did this for fun because you wanted it and you showed me that some people can love my art and I want to get better for you. But now I need to walk on my own. This really does feel like I need to walk on my own thing. I can't rely on you all the time. And that does technically go to the bigger story. What was the big statement made in the first episode, basically? It's the title. The jellyfish can't swim in the night. This idea that the jellyfish itself can't shine alone. But once it's with somebody else, suddenly it shines and it's able to see its way. She relied on Kano to light her way. Now, she needs to swim on her own. And that's, again, what's technically Kano throws back in her face. You said that you can't swim alone. And that was basically Kano saying, but you can't without me. And that's the sucky thing. It's literally the sucky thing about the whole thing. Like I said before, I am not excusing what Kano said. What Kano said was super nasty. Because what she's basically telling Mahiru is that you wouldn't do it without me. You needed me. You can't swim on your own. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't draw. And that's a sad thing to say when she's basically been supporting Mahiru this entire time and lifting her up. The scene that I think is one of the greatest scenes of this series so far is literally her going to Mahiru and saying, what is wrong? Why are you sad? It was during the time that Mahiru was getting the comments saying, you should get this artist to do your guys' music video. This person's better at it. Mahiru felt like she wasn't, she was the only one being left behind. And she wasn't good enough for everybody else. And then in that moment, Kano's saying, no, I love your art. I want your art. Again, she lifted her up, picked her up. And now here she's saying, but I had to carry you the whole way. You're doing it for me. And again, I'm not going to get into that whole argument again, but I just hate the fact that Mahiru sees that and doesn't see literally an entire year of Kano just glomping on her and loving her for everything that she does. It kind of ignores all that. In the heat of the passion, in the moment, I've seen this before. I've seen cases in real life where somebody literally they're inseparable. But then somebody says something that is just, it's the weak spot. They hit the weak spot. That whether they intended or not, they hit that weak spot. And I think in this situation, Kano, if she was in her right mind in that moment, not overly emotional, would know that's a weak spot. She knows Mahiru has this difficulty and this weakness in herself, self-confidence issue. And she would know that would probably break her. But she said it anyways because she's thinking, Mom's taking you from me. Like everybody else, somebody else, everybody leaves me. Everybody. You're going to go to that person. So obviously, again, she's going to be upset. So again, I'm kind of assuming next episode opens up. Kiwi talks to Mahiru. Mahiru says, yeah, I know she didn't mean that, but it still kind of hurt. And plus, again, I still want to do this thing. And I'm assuming if it goes the usual route, she's going to do the project for the mother. And it may turn into one of those things where it turns so business and without her own passion that Mahiru doesn't like it. But I'm not sure. I'm not really quite sure that they would go that direction. So far, the series has been very fresh with what it's doing, and I don't see it going that direction. And even the mother has pushed the idea that she likes Mahiru's style. So to have her change the style for the sake of the business would be a little weird. I almost forgot. They did briefly show the father, which we seen the father in the OP. He's like shown very briefly. I think he was before Mahiru's art on that wall. And they brought him up very briefly in the idea that she's asking the mother, hey, do you think father will show up if this goes well? And she's like, I don't know. It obviously shows the father or the mother and the father aren't doing well together, obviously, and it seems like the father has left. Now, the father does show back up, and it is later when Kano is getting successful. Like, she's already become an idol. Like, she's got her hair changed and everything. So it's obvious that she's now with the father again. Why the father showed up back up? Is it because he's seeing that she's successful, or at least the mother's successful? I don't know. It seems kind of odd to have the father show back up just for a brief moment and not really get into the details of what's the importance of the story. We already knew that Kano was being an idol for her mother, but it sort of indicates the idea that she was also doing it right here, or at least wanting a byproduct of it to bring back father. And then it seems like the father did return. I actually thought when it showed the first person perspective of her, like, oh crap, just after we got done talking about how, this YouTube channel took down this one group, now she's running around with some random boy, and she's very lonely. She wants friends, so she just decides to go out with somebody, and then she becomes a drama, a part of that, and that was what's gonna cause the whole issue to begin with. So I kind of thought that was the direction it was going, or Mello takes a video of them and then posts it on the YouTube channel, but no, she randomly runs into the father and is telling the father about what's going on, and then the father smiles and leaves. So not sure exactly why they brought that up, but that could technically play into the mother. Maybe the mother doesn't connect with Kano well enough because she's dealt with being abandoned by the father. That could be the reason why they brought up the father, but we'll see. But yeah, there was a side of me that was kind of bummed that Mello ended up being the center mean girl. Like I said, it kind of technically takes it in a direction that's interesting. It typically with these idol shows it's the center drama. People fight over the center because, for those who don't know, the center in the idol group is a person in the middle. They're the one that usually has all the main singing roles, all that kind of stuff. And obviously, Kano has taken her place. I like how the mother puts it, fight off the drama by showing them your talent. Like, just blow them away with your talent. It seems to indicate that she chose her daughter based on her talents. There's no reason why she'd want to prop up her daughter because it's only going to cause problems like this. If Mello was a better singer, I think she would use Mello. But it's because Kano is a good singer, she's putting her in the middle, and she's saying, blow them away with your talent. But again, that seems to be aside from it. It seems like Mello wants their group to be successful, and so she chose to take down this other group in order to get that slot. And yeah, she's a mean girl. She's a mean girl. I did it for the group. I did it for mom. She's doing all this stuff. Even her wallpaper is her with the mom. This girl's dead set on being successful for the mother. She wants to be Yukine's prime girl, and she'll do anything, including apparently going into other rooms when they're at behind the stages and just filming these girls doing that kind of. And again, that gets in that whole conversation of like, it sucks that these people, like, you have to be perfect. Like, off the stage, you have to be perfect. That is just kind of a sad reality of a lot of entertainment industry, but more so in the idol industry. You can't have boyfriends, you can't do drugs, you can't do alcohol, you can't do anything wrong. You have to be perfect. And again, the whole joke of the girls don't use the bathroom. Idols don't use the bathroom. It's this fantasy they create. And I mean, that's the whole concept of the channel itself, is literally, look at this idiot. You think your girls are perfect. Look at this idiots. It's just crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, she had that glare going on. Like, yeah, we got Mello the mean girl going on. I'll be curious what they end up doing with her story going forward. We only have 3 episodes left. I'd be curious if they even do anything more with Mello. They could. I think we have this next episode having her go to work with the mom and then meeting the girls. Maybe have a moment where she meets Mello and Mello does something nasty or whatever. Oh, you work with Kano. Yeah, you nasty. But yeah, we'll see. But that's my thoughts. It's been a long video. I think most of it's just complaining about tropes. But again, I think in the end, don't want to give people the wrong idea here. Again, I loved 99% of this, 98% of this episode. It was just that one little bit, which again, I think the next episode is going to be, shrug, it's okay, don't worry about it. We just need to transition the scene. She doesn't really think that, and then move on from there. But anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure to that like button down below, comment, let me know what's the episode. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button, skip my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you like this content and you want to support the channel more, I have a Patreon link, tips, links, things, membership button down below. Greatly appreciate it, but it does. Y'all take care.